Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, Motor City Faithful. Today, we're diving into a blockbuster rumor that pairs our Detroit Lions with the New Orleans Saints in a potential quarterback swap, one that's got pundits buzzing and Twitter in flames. It all began with heartbreaking news out of the Big Easy. Veteran Saints signal caller Derek Carr shocked the NFL world this Mother's Day weekend by announcing his immediate retirement due to a severe shoulder injury. Losing your quarterback is never easy, but doing so after the draft. That's catastrophic timing. New Orleans spent their second-round pick, number 40 overall, on rookie Tyler Shough, thinking Carr would provide veteran stability. Now the Saints find themselves scrambling for a proven arm, and fast. Enter Lions QB Hendon Hooker, the former Tennessee standout who flashed tantalizing potential in his first pro season, but has faced growing doubts in Detroit's camp. Saints. Insider Mike Payton of A to Z Sports boldly proposed on May 12th that New Orleans should trade for Hooker, sending their 2026 sixth-round pick back to Detroit. Payton argues that the Saints desperately need a quarterback with starting experience, and Hooker fits the bill. He's already 27, has one full NFL season under his belt, and impressed New Orleans evaluators at the 2023 Combine. They reportedly met with him extensively before the draft, only to have Detroit leapfrog them and select him just 2 spots earlier. Now, Payton says, the Saints should reclaim that opportunity. But does this make sense for the Lions? On paper, turning Hooker into a late-round pick seems underwhelming. After all, Hooker showed flashes of dual-threat prowess, over 2,600 passing yards and 7 touchdowns in 2024, yet he also struggled with pocket consistency and deep ball accuracy. Payton admits Detroit may view him as expendable given their commitment to Jared Goff, but a 2026 sixth isn't much compensation for a quarterback still in his athletic prime. Could Detroit do better? Absolutely. They could push for a higher pick, a conditional swap, or even include a veteran backup in return. Saints specialist Brad Behrman of Sideline Report doubled down on the idea on May 13th, noting Detroit's solid stance on Goff means Hooker's future here is murky. Behrman argues that if an opportunity arises to swap Hooker for any draft capital, especially when the market for QBs is so thin, the Lions ought to pounce. He sees the Saints as the perfect match. They need a bridge option to steady their offense, and Hooker offers more upside than any other veteran available. So here we are, Lions fans. The NFL rumor mill has thrown us into a cross-conference thriller. Will Detroit entertain dealing Hooker to the Saints for a late-round pick? Or will they leverage New Orleans' desperation to secure a more valuable return? The clock is ticking for both franchises. New Orleans needs immediate answers under center, and Detroit must decide whether to bet on Goff as their long-term franchise quarterback. In sequence, we'll break down the potential trade parameters, propose alternative compensation packages, and weigh whether Hooker should actually stay in Detroit's QB room. Stay tuned to Lions News Fan Report, because if this deal goes down, Motor City's front office will have pulled off one of the most intriguing swaps of the offseason. If you're as hooked on this potential Lions-Saints quarterback swap as I am, smash that like button, hit subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and ring that bell right now, because here comes everything you need to know about why Detroit should, or shouldn't, send Hendon Hooker to New Orleans for draft picks, plus my take on how it would reshape both franchises. Picture the scene. The Saints reeling from Derek Carr's sudden retirement, rookie Tyler Shough thrown into the fire too soon, and an entire city begging for a reliable game manager under center. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Jared Goff looks every bit the franchise cornerstone, while Hendon Hooker, with just one NFL season under his belt, quietly watches the Lions brass juggle backups and draft capital. Now, Mike Payton and Brad Behrman float the idea. Hooker heads south for a sixth-round pick. But fans, as is our right, need more than a casual swap. We need context, leverage, and a bold vision for our own future. First, understand the Saints. Urgency. They have a Pro Bowl receiver core, a rock-solid backfield with Kamara, pending appeal, and McCaffrey-style weapons, and an offensive line that can protect a mobile passer. Hooker fits like a glove. He moves in the pocket, avoids sacks, and can lean on Sean Montgomery's prowess. New Orleans sees him as a short-term stabilizer, buying off-season breathing room to develop show or chase greener QB pastures. They might even throw in a late 2025 round pick to stand out among AFC suitors, so Detroit's front office must push back. A single sixth-rounder? That's pocket change for a team desperate to plug its biggest roster hole. Detroit should instead insist on a fifth-round pick in 2026, plus a conditional swap of sixth-rounders in 2027, triggered if Hooker starts 8 games or the Saints reach the playoffs. That structure rewards both sides. The Lions net meaningful mid-round capital, and the Saints only pay up if Hooker proves valuable. In the same package, Detroit could include the rights to re-sign former Lions backup Chase Daniel, or any Saints vet who hits free agency, giving New Orleans a bridge veteran without bloating cap space. That sweetens the pot without costing Detroit its own young contributors. But let's ask the big question. Should Detroit even trade Hooker? Jared Goff is slated to be our quarterback for the next few seasons, yet Hooker has undeniable upside. He's shown burst on zone read options and delivered pinpoint throws on the move. The Lions' defense is ascending under Campbell's regime. An offense led by a tandem of Goff and Hooker could carry us deep into January by rotating snaps to keep opponents guessing. If we offload Hooker, we lose that developmental insurance policy. Worse, we jettison a 27-year-old athlete who could one day start elsewhere in his prime. Conversely, if the Lions see Goff as an ironclad franchise answer, they must leverage Hooker's value. We're not here to hoard quarterbacks. Other teams are starved for signal callers with live arm pedigree. New Orleans, Cleveland, even the Jaguars or Panthers would pounce. Letting that market drive up the price ensures Detroit doesn't receive mere crumbs. A mid-round draft pick can turn into a dynamic receiver or a lockdown defensive back. That helps us fill holes along the roster, ensuring that if Goff faces a mid-season injury, our cupboard of talent runs deep and we rebound quickly. In my mind, the Lions should both entertain trade discussions and simultaneously retain Hooker in the room if they can't secure fair value. Let's set an asking price and let interested teams bid. If the Saints offer only a 2026 sixth, Detroit politely declines, calls their bluff, and watches them scramble to add more compensation. No panic, no underselling. We've built a competitive team. We don't beg for trades. We dictate terms. Now, imagine the fallout if Detroit lands that conditional fifth-round pick, plus perhaps the rights to re-sign a veteran backup. We'd head into 2025 draft season with extra ammo, pick in the middle of the third or fourth round, and the ability to address offensive line or defensive backfield needs. Meanwhile, the Saints bring Hooker in for OTAs, simplify their playbook to his strengths, and ride him to an 8-9 record that keeps them just competitive and buys time for show's growth. Both fan bases might cheer in the short term, but only Detroit fans will smile at the long-term capital gained. So, Lake Show Nation, here's my challenge. Tweet Rob Pelinka with Nyaja Fair Value for Hooker. Comment below on what package you'd demand. Maybe swap our 2024 second-rounder instead, and join the discussion on whether we even need to trade Hooker at all. This is our team. These are our hands on the levers. If the Lions front office chooses to engage, we'll know they respect our insights and value our passion. If they stay silent, we'll infer they intend to keep Hooker as a prized asset. Either way, this potential deal underscores a broader truth. In the NFL, timing is everything. The Saints' draft day heartbreak with Carr's injury opened a window. For Detroit's leverage, will we squeeze or slip? The answer could shape our next 3 drafts and our playoff fortunes for years. That's why this isn't just optional off-season chatter. This is a franchise-defining crossroads. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, alerts on, and ready for every breaking update on this Hooker to Saints saga. Until next time, keep those helmets high, keep that roar loud, and as always, go Lions.